Hello, my name is Cynthia Bautista, and this presentation is for PSY 374 Vocational Aspects and Disability. Welcome to my presentation. Today, we're going to dive deep into a case study about a man named Brandon. We aren't just looking at him as a patient or a client, but as a whole person with a complicated history. This presentation is going to show how things that happen to us when we're kids, like where we live, how much money we have, and the scary things we go through, change the way we see ourselves and our ability to get a job. We're going to be using the components of recovery to build a bridge for Brandon so he can move from being stuck in his past to being a successful employee in the community. First, let's talk about what recovery really means. In the old days, people thought you were either sick or well, but the government's SAMHSA definition says recovery is a journey of change. It's about Brandon getting his health back, finding a safe place to stay, and finding a purpose. For most people, a job is that purpose. It's the reason to get up in the morning. Recovery is about helping Brandon reach his full potential, which means being the best version of himself despite the hard things he's been through. There's a model called the empowerment model that's very important for Brandon. It explains that when people show emotional distress, society often tries to control them or treat them like they're less than. This creates a stigma. This model shows that the most important thing for someone like Brandon is having someone believe in him. This is called co-vitality. When a vocational specialist believes Brandon can work, it helps him stop feeling like a misfit and start feeling like a part of society again. Let's look at Brandon's life. He's 24, but he carries a lot of weight from his childhood. He grew up dirt poor in a trailer home with 3 siblings. The biggest trauma happened when he was 13. His own mother, who was supposed to love and protect him, sexually assaulted him. On top of that, he was bullied at school because of his clothes. They weren't nice enough, and he didn't have money. All of this led to a diagnosis of PTSD. He isn't just sad. His brain is constantly on high alert because of what he survived. We all have mental maps called internal working models. We start building these as babies based on how our parents treat us. If our parents are responsive and kind, our map says, I'm good, and people are helpful. But Brandon's map was built on a foundation of abuse and poverty. His schemas, which are like mental filters, make him see the world as a place where he's always in danger and always being judged. Brandon has a very negative internal working model of self. Even though he was just a kid when he was assaulted, he blames himself for it. He thinks he's damaged. When we talk about jobs, Brandon thinks, why would a good company hire someone like me? He doesn't think he has any value. His self-flame is like a heavy chain that keeps him from even trying to apply for work because he doesn't feel worthy of absolutely anything. Brandon's model of others is also very difficult. Because his mother was also his abuser, he learned that the people closest to him are the ones who hurt him the most. This makes him very scared of authority. To Brandon, a boss isn't just someone who gives tasks. A boss is someone who has power over him. And power is scary to him. He expects his coworkers to be bullies, just like the kids in his childhood. He doesn't trust people. Using Bronfenbrenner's theory, we look at the microsystem, which is the small circle of people Brandon saw every day. For most kids, home is a secure place where they feel safe. For Brandon, home was a very dangerous place. School was a place of bullying. Every single day, Brandon was getting the message that he was a target at home and in school. His microsystem failed him, and it's why he struggles so much with social skills and trust today. The exosystem is the community level. Being poor in a trailer home meant Brandon didn't have access to the same resources, tutors, or sports that the other kids had. He felt excluded by the community. Then there's the macro system, which is our whole culture. Our culture is often very hard on men who have been abused. It tells them to be tough or to get over it, or that it's simply not possible to be raped as a man. This makes Brandon feel like he has to hide his past, which just makes the shame and the obstacles to getting a job even bigger. The chronosystem is about when things happen. For Brandon, the trauma happened at 13. This is the exact time when kids are supposed to be figuring out who they are and becoming more independent. Because it happened then, the trauma became a part of his identity. He feels frozen in time. He also lives in a time where we're shifting from trying to fix him to fixing the world. But Brandon doesn't know that yet. Brandon has a lot of barriers. There are structural barriers like not having a car or money for work clothes. There are attitudinal barriers, like his own belief that he can't work. There are also functional barriers. Because of his PTSD, he can't work in a place that is too loud or where people are yelling, because it makes his brain think that he's being attacked. He's stuck because the barriers feel too high to get over. The first recovery component we're using is addresses trauma. This is the most important one for Brandon. We have to realize that his PTSD isn't just a medical condition. It's a survival reaction to what happened when he was 13. To help him get a job, the office has to be a safe place. They have to give him choices and control because his abuser took that away from him. If we don't address the trauma, he'll never feel safe enough to even go to a job interview. How does this relate to work? It means we don't just place Brandon in any job. We collaborate with him. We look for jobs where he feels safe. We teach him that he has rights under the ADA and that he can ask for a quiet workspace. By treating him with trauma-informed care, we're teaching him that he's in the driver's seat. And we are moving him away from the medical model to the recovery model. Component number 2 is hope. This is the most powerful tool we have. Hope is the motivating message that things can get better. Right now, Brandon has zero hope. He thinks his life is a dead end. Our job is to cultivate hope until he has enough of it to act. Hope is what gets him out of the I don't even want to try stage and into the action stage, where he's actually trying to change. In vocational rehab, hope is what keeps a client from quitting. When Brandon gets his first no from an employer, hope is what keeps him going. We use core vitality, our belief in him, to help him develop a readiness to change. We help him realize that he has a future and a purpose. Once Brandon has hope, he starts to realize that the gray areas of his life can get a little brighter. Component 3 is respect. Brandon has been treated like trash for much of his life because he was poor and abused. Respect is the antidote. It means the community and the employment system treat him with dignity. But the most important part is Brandon learning to respect himself. He needs to stop blaming himself for the assault and realize that he's a survivor with a lot of courage. Respect changes Brandon's internal working model of self. Instead of seeing himself as broken, he starts to see himself as resilient. When he feels respected, he carries himself differently in interviews. He starts to speak up for himself. Respect makes sure that he is fully participating in his own life, not just someone who's being told what to do by a case manager. Component 4 is peer support. Brandon has felt alone his whole life. Peer support changes that. By connecting him with other survivors or people with PTSD who have jobs, he gets experiential knowledge. He sees someone else who lived in a trailer, who struggled with trauma, and who now has a career. This gives him a sense of belonging that he never got from his parents or his classmates. Our final component is holistic. We can't just focus on getting a job. If Brandon doesn't have a safe home or a way to get to work, he'll fail. A holistic approach means we look at his housing, his mental health, his physical health, and his spirit. We meet him where he is. If he's having a bad PTSD day, we don't force a job interview. We need to look at Brandon's whole life and fix his basic needs, like a safe place to live and a way to get around, before we can even expect him to succeed at a job. To wrap up, Brandon is a multitude, as Walt Whitman said. He's more than just his diagnosis or his past. By using these 5 components, trauma, hope, respect, peer support, and holistic care, we're helping him change his internal working models. Our final goal is to get Brandon into a job where he feels safe, respected, and empowered. These are the specific topics in this module that I used and some references.